everyone, and welcome back to the Moonhunters podcast. Each episode takes us on an experience out in nature. We gather around the fire and under the stars, and the moonlight illuminate our stories to reflect on both the magic and the messiness on what it means to be alive. If you're hunting for your light in the darkness, join us on the other side of the moon. This time, the moonlights illuminate story on someone who is very special and dear to my heart, have helped me through my journey and actually helped a lot many people through their journey with the practice she does, with the energy she put into her work and her service to the community, and the beautiful combination between and connection between the soul and the body. That deep understanding of how to float the dark side into the surface and honestly make a dance with it. Between the soul, the body, the heart, the mind, she just beautifully put them all together in a blender and make this beautiful dance where in the end of it, you feel in peace, feel connected, and the most importantly, arrived into the self, into a place where you feel belonging. And she is a 5-rhythm teacher or guide, teacher. And absolutely amazing human being, Lina Nahhas. Thank you for coming, for being with us, for sharing this energy. I'm so honored and grateful you are here today with us.
I'm really honored, and I really honestly, just listening to you, I felt like I was again watching a show. It's not me. I'm like, that's a really lovely person he's speaking about. Who's this? Lina Nahhas. No, but thank you. Firstly, I really appreciate the way you've described the practice that I teach, because that to me reflects how you received it, how you benefit from it, and each person benefits differently. But you captured it in the deepest of ways, in the true character of somebody who holds all the range of what this practice aims to do. So thank you. It was really lovely. I want that as my testimonial later on. And I'm honored. Yeah.
That's honestly this reflection of how this practice came along. And this is honestly comes from the connection with the soul of what this practice bring me, what you brought into it. It's just brought so much joy to life and make it as a dance. And I cannot wait for people to listen what is actually 5-rhythm and about you. And we'll dive deep into it.
Well, I'm glad it brought you joy, because that's what took me to 5-rhythms. So just to make it clear, I did not invent this practice. That wasn't my creation. I was attracted to it the same way you were, because it brought me so much joy, so much healing, so much soul-seeking beyond any other practice, and so quickly, like the truth, like straight into the truth of me, straight into the truth of my soul, straight into the truth of the world and everybody around me. So I got curious, but I'm not the creator of this practice. I trained to become a teacher. It took me 5 years. That's how long the teaching path is.
So what is the 5-rhythm? Let's get back to the guy, to who's listening or watching us, and give them a full perspective on 5-rhythm. We will start with you first. Who is Lina Nahhas and what you are doing here?
What am I doing on this planet, or what am I doing in Dubai, or what am I doing right in this moment?
Well, in this planet.
Yeah, I mean, I came with a name. It's called Lina Nahhas, but more and more with time, I'm just not associating myself with any specific identity. I am Palestinian. I was born to a Palestinian family. So there's a big part of me that loves, adores, and has affinity towards that. And I'll get back to that in a moment, because it has to do with the 5-rhythms at some point.
Okay.
And I'm a mother of a beautiful 16-year-old. So I'm listing all the things that in this moment not define me, but rather bring elements of mindfulness to who I am in this moment.
Fantastic.
A mother is a big one,
Yeah,
of a
absolutely.
16-year-old who's going on 50. And I'm a human, above all. I'm a human, and with time, like I said, I'm discarding these identities to try and figure out the essence of what lies within. What lies within and below, because I'm, again, more and more with age, I realize that what lies within and below is actually what's above.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to transcend anything. I'm trying to be within myself so that I can feel consciousness moving through me in this life, because I feel everything is a game. I feel everything is consciousness in motion.
Yeah.
And my purpose is to continuously feel consciousness in motion, to continuously make myself available, my body available, my heart available, my mind available, my bigger mind available, not the smaller mind, my bigger mind available, so that
What's the bigger mind and smaller mind?
What's the difference?
Yeah.
Again, that's 5 rhythms as well, that belongs to shamanic traditions and Jungian psychology traditions. And the smaller mind is the one that goes, every day. It's like the chattering mind. And we need it. It's the mind that keeps talking to us, the one that we hear all the time, that makes us do things, gets things done, and fuck with our head. Excuse the F word. But it messes with us. And so that small mind, in a way, keeps us small. It's where the false ego has a grip on us and tells us that's all you are, and that's all you need to do. That's and that's usually shaped by a lot of things, whether it's stories from childhood, whether it's cultural stuff that keep us stuck. The bigger mind is far bigger. The bigger mind is that is actually spirit. It's where it opens up to something that is infinite in possibilities, is unconditioned.
All right.
It doesn't have structural.
That is the soul, in the same kind of.
It can be the soul. I mean, my understanding of the soul is there's only one soul. It's a soul. It's a soul moving through so many different bodies, and we shape it in our own different flavor. And then there's spirit, which is creator spirit. And definitely the bigger mind live
in the higher energy.
In the higher energies, and the ones that keep you free and open and available.
And that's the connection, when you need to connect with that higher soul or higher energy or a bigger mind, to make it even more accessible, the other part.
That's right. It's a frequency. And the more we let go of the dense energies, the more we're able to access that frequency that created universes. And cosmoses.
Cosmoses, yeah, for sure.
So my purpose truly is, for myself, is to keep accessing that, so that I really feel what it's like to be human in this body, in this specific lifetime, being moved by this consciousness, and to be generous with it. How else can I connect to the rest in this party, in this movie? How can we together create and co-create and get fascinated and get curious and follow to the point where we can dissolve walls? Because in the end, there are no walls.
We create those walls.
And that's my purpose, is to keep expanding, moving, dissolving, connecting, and allowing others to have a taste of that with me.
Absolutely, and I saw it like in the way you do it, doing the practice. I know you for a while now, and
how many years has it been?
I don't know, it's 3 years almost.
I really don't know. Sometimes I feel it's 10 years, sometimes I feel it's a year.
Yeah, no, it's more than 3 years for sure.
Okay.
I think,
definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
It's way before COVID.
Yeah, it's way before COVID. Yeah, it's true.
And we were an urban tribe.
Yeah. And how did you come to the practice? Like let's start from, what is 5 Rhythm?
So 5 Rhythms was created by this woman. 5 Rhythms, each rhythm is an energy form, where with each energy and specific movement, motion, that's choreographed by each person. There's nothing pre-choreographed. You're the choreographer. But each energy field, you meet a different aspect of yourself. And the creator of this practice she's dead now. She died in 2012. her name is Gabrielle Roth, and she created this map. She observed this map in the 60s when she was a dancer in Esalen. She was part of the human potential movement. And that time they were discussing what is a human being beyond this body? What is the soul? Where does the soul live? Where is the spirit? Where are we beyond that? There was Gestalt movement at the time. There was like the Jungian psychology aspect of it was growing. Osho was there. There's all these discussions around what is a human being? What is the divine in the human being? And she was part of that discourse. And she, because she was a dancer, started observing people. She just put on some music or drums in a hall in Esalen and started observing people, movers. She was fascinated by human movement. And she observed that the people who are most free on that floor and in life follow the specific rhythm, which is what she called a wave, which starts with, the flowing, which is, finding your feet, getting unstuck in your motion, being fluid, being able to yield, to receive the dance. Then she gave those names later on. So that was flowing, number
The first
one.
one is flow.
And then the second one, she noticed after a little while, the body starts looking for connection, gets out of itself after it's grounded and flowing and fluid and receiving the dance. It starts wanting to share that dance. It starts being quite pulsating and kind of wanting to connect outwards and from the heart. And there was a lot of heart to it. She called that staccato. Then after people do this for a little while, they connect with each other. They have their percussive movements. Their passion is out. The movement gets bigger and bigger, and they start wanting to release. And the release is what we call chaos. And after that, madness and frenzy, and their body was going through that naturally. After that madness and frenzy, they lighten up. And they're like basically just skipping or being whimsical or spontaneous and light. And she called that the lyrical, which you know very well. And they fly.
My favorite.
They've expanded. They've really expanded because they've emptied out.
Yeah.
And then finally, they slow it right down and it becomes this slow moving meditation and like a Tai Chi master. And she called that stillness. So these are essentially the 5 rhythms, and when you go through them, she called it a wave. And she observed that in nature. She started observing nature, and she found that this wave is followed in everything. It's followed in the way we brainstorm, and followed in the way we give birth, followed in the way we have sex. It's in the cycle of wave. In everything, in the cosmos. And so she studied it further. I won't get into it, but she studied it further, and it became a map, a cosmology that's endless.
Oh, wow, yeah. And it has a philosophy as well behind it.
Yeah. I mean, her teachers were all, like I said, in her days were some shamans, all her colleagues around the human potential movement. She went and would spend days or months on end in quests as well. Like she did her shaman. She was called the urban shaman. And she transmitted all that work. And it's a fractal map that gives you a compass to where you are in life, where you are in your emotions, where you are in this present moment, where you are in your spiritual journey. I mean, it's endless.
And that's the beauty about the practice, because it's every time I come to the practice and I join the flow, it's a constant work on stuff, because we always have things happening in life. Like it's always life is happening. We have something happen here or there, and the mind is busy, or we try with noise or all over the place.
Or sometimes great things, but they're take a lot of space.
Absolutely, and overwhelms as well. But you need to ground it and stuff.
Yeah.
So, every time I come to the practice, it's that ground me or heal me through the practice, and that was fascinating for me because I am a water sign as well. I love movement, and I did not know that before, and until I started joining your practice.
Oh, really?
Yes,
wow.
I did not know this. Actually,
right.
One of the things I learned through the practice and through the way of dancing, it's that I love this movement. This movement goes through me, and it becomes home.
Beautiful.
And if through that, I start healing on so many other levels.
Yeah.
How
I just wanted to tell you, it's your dance that revealed you to yourself. Okay? And this is what the work is. For this 5 rhythms, it's the dance that reveals you to yourself. The map is just there to hold it. To catalyze it a little bit faster because of the way it works. But it's your dance that reveals you to yourself. And the whole idea is that's a metaphor for life. So that your movement in life reveals you to yourself. So you're more aware, you're more awake, you're more mindful. You're constantly revealing yourself to yourself.
Through the movements. And that's the power of movements. Like it goes into a chaos, and when we go into the rhythms and it becomes the chaos, the movement, it goes upside down, the heart beating and the mind is all over the place. And then it comes back to lyrica and then the stillness. And when you start saying, like you're guiding through it, and you say you can find even movement through the stillness.
Yes.
And that adds so much to it. Like, it gives the power of everything is moving through you.
That's right, yeah.
And that was fascinating me, because how Five Rhythm, or how the practice tackled the shadows, especially the shadows of us. When I go, sometimes I'm more sad, but I don't know why I'm sad. And then when we start dance, things start to pop onto the surface and start coming. It's like I'm scratching the places where I did not want to scratch, but with the practice, it did scratch it up.
And how did that feel to keep scratching?
Oh, it's so good. It's
That's
so good. It's so good. And seeing people as well around, how they, like after the practice, they are like more relieved, but sometimes it's overwhelmed. What's the best way to dive deep into the practice to contain those overwhelm?
Well, I mean, there's so many questions within that question.
Yeah.
Firstly, I don't see sadness as a shadow. In this practice, all emotions are welcome. Like Rumi says, we're a guest house.
Yeah.
And it's kind of about relaxing about these emotions, if you're looking at the emotional field, for example. And it's actually the contrary. When you suppress them is when they are in the shadow. When you're suppressing anything, a story, an emotion, a physical part even, not giving it breath, not giving it motion, not giving it light, it's in the shadow. And the shadow is when it's dangerous because it's controlling you without you knowing. It's like, what is moving me? Why am I? But to actually have a look at it, put a little bit of light to it, it's actually healing. And yes, it might be overwhelming because we see it for the first time and we don't want to see it. Some things we don't want to see. I don't want to see that I'm an angry bitch sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that I have sadness in me and grief and ancestral memories that I don't want to look at. And I don't want to see that I can feel fear, like beyond any fear, and get and every moment new, or when there are people around me I haven't met for the first time. Of course I don't. But when you see them, this is the breakthrough and the healing, because each one becomes a medicine. Anger becomes a medicine to defend what is wrong or what is right. You know, they all have their own. So I don't see them as shadow. And the practice tells us, keep looking. Keep looking.
That's the beauty
Keep
about
looking.
It,
And your movement is gonna put a little bit of light. And if you want it in the dark, not the shadow, dark is beautiful too. What does it move like in the dark? How can I hide it but consciously? How can I keep it as my secret in the dark and keep it as a mystery that can help me be mysterious in my life and understand how God is moving me? So not everything needs to be in the light, nor in the dark, but the shadow is like, have a look. And the tool is to constantly, like I said, reveal yourself to yourself, soften, allow, surrender. And when the things get tough, breathe, move. And if it's too much, you wait. It's not the right time.
Yeah.
I'll wait for another moment and my body will tell me. But at least you're practicing to trust your body to tell you.
This is the letting go of trusting the body.
Yeah.
Oh, it was take me so times to reach to that point, because
Why?
feeling
Why did it take you so long?
take me a little bit, just a little, like not too long, maybe a few sessions until I start getting understanding the body needs talking to me
Right.
through the movement, because there was not communication well between the soul, the mind, and the heart.
Where
and the
were
body.
you mainly in the dance then the first few times?
In my head.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so much in
What
my
was
head.
going on there? Like, what,
It's
because
like-
you're always smiling. I've always wondered. So, do you remember, like, what was in your head? It was
And-
running, but you're moving.
And
You're
I'm moving.
flying.
But first sessions, I was in my head as well as said in the first, from being anxiety from the social,
Right.
from what's the people looking at me, how they are looking at me, how I'm dancing. But when I start looking deeper into the dance and you're guiding through it, you were saying it's the place of free yourself from anything around. No one is judging you from
Yeah.
whatever happening around. And that's the learning was curve of letting go of so many guards and trusting the body. Then that transfer into life.
Yes.
That was beautiful. It's
So
like,
tell me how. I would love to know. How did it translate into your life?
In so many ways, like when I look back, well, I will tell you one of the recent ones.
Okay.
When we do as well the workshops or the ceremonies, the cacao ceremony,
The
on the
workshops
full
go
moons.
deeper, don't they?
Yeah, the workshop, it goes deeper. Even the ceremonies,
With the
the way
cacao.
with the cacao and the way you guide it, as well it goes deep for, like, depends, maybe everyone has their own, like, if they want to go deep or not.
Yeah.
One of the times you did was in September
Last year?
last year.
Okay.
This past year, in
Okay.
2022.
22, okay.
We did the session, we did the dance. Before we do, as you do usually, the ceremony, we sit all together
Yeah,
and we
when you
start.
connect with others.
We
and-
connect, and this is a beautiful way the way you put it. You connect the people and allow people to express
Yeah.
themselves, their intention, and what they are grateful for as well. It has so much. Like that's why one of the reasons, like, I feel like connected too much into the practice and to you, because you put it in this beautiful way and just it touched from the soul and the heart. We're sitting there, we did the whole ceremony, and then we started the dance. And during the dance, there was a full moon on September. You were guiding through the dreams, the big dreams and the small dreams.
Ah, yes, I remember that one.
And through that session had so much happening in my dreams. And one of the dreams was, the small one, was doing the podcast.
Oh, wow, no way.
That was in
Yeah.
September.
Wow.
And the idea came to me in March, beginning of the year. And I named it Moonhunters on March. Fast forward to our session,
Right.
and we were talking, we were guide us through the dreams, literally in that session, in that moment, in Lyrica as well.
Yes.
And
yes.
I was flying so high, I touched the dream, I was like, I was 100% with it.
Wow.
And I
you
saw
you really
I
did. You caught
catch
it. Yeah.
And I saw myself interview you into the podcast.
No way.
I swear.
Oh my God.
And then
Okay, are you having a déjà vu here?
It's a
Wait
déjà
a
vu,
minute,
it's
this is
like-
awkward.
it's a hardcore manifestation.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that day was absolutely beautiful. Came down from the dance, just bringing this all with me down. I came back to the house and I was looking to the moon, was full. I was in the garden looking at the sky, it was full moon. It's like, next month is the first...
The launch.
The first episode. I need to start.
Yes,
To start first next month. And I was like, okay, that's it. It's the next month we start filming. And went back to the computer, checking the moon, what's the moon, because I named it a while ago. I want to check what's the moon names and where it comes out, and I want to know everything about it. It's called the Moonhunters, like, what's this about? And checked on the online, what's the full moon is on 10th of October.
Okay. 10/10.
10/10.
2022.
22. And the moon name,
No. Moonhunter?
I swear.
Wow. Are you serious?
swear.
See how magic
This is,
happens?
guys, the most magical moment from, like, what? How? What? This makes sense.
What does Moonhunter mean? Does it have a meaning? That specific Moonhunter?
It does have like moon before when we did
The
it.
harvest moon.
It's called the harvest moon. The farmer cuts all the harvest.
Yes.
They harvest all the food.
Whatever that. Yeah.
And in October, so there is no big plants to hide between. So all the hunters, the animals, goes out into fields to hunt.
Right.
So they call it the moon hunter, the hunter moon. Yeah, the moon.
That's an incredible story, but it's just so beautiful. But that's the magic. That's precisely it.
And this is the way it's like exactly magic, and the way you put work into it, the way you initiate and guide people toward that is what is magic to me as well. Because I had a dream, I had something into doing things, but as well the way you guide and the practice is bringing people, and this is what fascinates me. I want to understand more of the way you do your practice, the way you connect to people, or the way you put your questions into the practice, because people are in trance, kind of.
I am too.
You are too.
So I'm with you. So what I wanted to tell you with your beautiful story is this is what it's about. It's kind of like, but you see, I remember you came to that class a lot more grounded. Once you're here and your body is here physically, everything else, which is here, which is the dream, the weaving, the mandala, like all that stuff has a place to go. So because it has a place to land, and then you move together and you co-create together. When you make this body available, the rest will fall into place. And like you said, when you surrender, when you yield, but first you ground, then it's rooted. Because where else is that dream going to happen? It's here. It can't happen in another dimension. It has to happen here. And that's the whole practice. Is like, how much of here can I be in? And then how much of surrender in terms of yielding can I be? How unstuck can I get in my body? How unstuck in my heart? How unstuck in my mind? For that dream, soul weaving to come.
Download.
And then it becomes easy. Miracles become non-miracles.
Absolutely.
Because we're a miracle.
Becomes synchronicity.
Yes.
And that's this is the beautiful part, to become synchronized with life.
And with ease.
With ease, yeah. It's
so
honestly
happy for you.
Thank you. Well, so happy to be lucky as well and be introduced into this practice.
How did you find it, by the way? I can't.
Came with a friend. We came to your session first time, and then I looked like, what's going on here?
Who are these crazy people?
Who's these crazy people?
Doing?
Dancing, I love dancing. What's going on?
Who are these lunatics? Why are they doing this?
But first time was like very into my head, as I told you. But then it started moving through me. It was like, oh, yes.
Beautiful.
And that's what you do through this practices and the workshop you do. How do you guide yourself into what to put out there for other in their trance? Even you will be in trance, but how do you guide yourself? What information or what's the thing? Because it's an infinite number of things.
It's infinite. It's a fractal map.
It's a fractal map, exactly. And how do you guide yourself through that? Is it through your practice to heal yourself from it?
Oh God, again, so many questions in one, so many layers. Okay, let me just take one thread. Let's just unwind the thread, see which one I'm going to speak about first. Okay.
The one that resonates the most.
All of them. Well, first of all, the practice is a philosophy. So it's a philosophy for life. So my practice, the 5 rhythms, is my practice not on the dance floor only. It's my philosophy, it's my principles. So if I'm in a situation in my life and I want to kind of understand it a little bit better, I just go back to the map itself and go, okay, where am I in this stage? Why am I feeling this way? Oh, okay, it gives me hope that the next stage is going to be this, because there's a map. So it's my philosophy. So when I'm designing a class, I'm also using that philosophy. I'm using, in that moment, what does the class need? Are they Are they in a shadow of stuckness that needs moving, which means flowing? Are they in a shadow of tension, which means they need a staccato that breathes? There's tools. Like, this is why it takes us that long to learn. So I'm all constantly watching you. So in fact, you're the one teaching the class because you're informing me what is needed. And from there, I give what is needed. And it's exactly what the map is saying. Yield, surrender to this moment, and the magic will happen. So I surrender. I'm like, okay, what is needed? But the part where I don't surrender too much, I'm more in control, is the music. I set it up ahead. Some people, some teachers teach on the fly. They'll just gather whatever music on the fly, on the go. I can't. I'm not a music expert, and so I really work hard. But in the spot, what comes is transmitted. Lots of times I don't even remember half the things I say.
It's just a channeling through it, and
it's whatever is needed in the moment. Like I'm co-creating with the spirit of the room.
And I start seeing it recently, to be honest.
Yeah.
When we're talking, when you're guiding through, I start seeing it recently because you reflect from others who is like what is
needed, what is showing up, what do I need, and what needs movement. At the end of the day, how can it be moved? And how can I remind people to breathe? That's in classes and workshops. It's themes like that I'm interested in. And I dive deeper into the theme. And again, you'll see the structure of the workshop is all based on each rhythm. We dive into the theme through each rhythm.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes. But and even classes, it's what I'm going through in my life. Mm-hmm. So you saw that when I guide some classes, I'm like, this week, this happened to me, and I was contemplating. And it's the truth. I'm contemplating, and I wonder what the dance will reveal around this question. And I bring it to the room for us to explore together through the map.
That's what make it raw, like make it real, just connected with others.
Yeah, perhaps. And other times it doesn't have to be a story, and it's still equally real.
Absolutely. Yes. It doesn't have to be complicated.
No, and it doesn't have to be about me or the world. It can be just the rhythms.
Just the rhythm.
As in,
move.
Here are the movements, and just move that. Here's some music. It doesn't even have to be a theme.
How did you get yourself into the movement?
Myself?
Into this place? Yeah. How?
I wanted to get rid of the pain in my heart. I arrived at the 5 rhythms, or the 5 rhythms came to me when I was going through my divorce. And I tried everything. Like, I tried everything from coaching to hypnotherapy to therapy. And then one day, I just happened to be sitting at the therapist's office, and I'm like, do not ask me any more questions. I don't want to discuss this. I just want to process the pain and get over it. I just don't want to understand it.
Oh, wow.
I don't want to understand it. My brain can't take it anymore. My small mind doesn't want to know anymore. And she said, we went through a little meditation, and I saw a dancing figure, Sufi figure, in the middle of my belly. And she says, wait a minute, what is that? And I said, I don't know, but something in me wants to dance. She goes, somebody came today from New York to my office, and she does something called the 5 rhythms. Why don't you look it up? Because it's a spiritual practice, and it's a healing practice, and it's through movement, not choreographed. I went online that same night, just like you in the podcast, same night, read for hours, and I'm like, wow, this thing exists? And booked myself to the first workshop, nearest one to Dubai, a week later in Geneva. And I fell in love. I'm like, I can't believe this happened. And it was the most healing, fastest way to heal out of my pain.
Oh, wow.
To understand what I'm going through and get over it. Like, just completely, it was medicine. And then that was history. Then I got hooked. I was flying all over the world just to get my medicine.
Oh, wow. You went through so much pain, you said, until you get to the practice.
Oh, yeah, I suffered. I suffered. And lots of people arrived to the practice because they were in pain, seeking healing.
Yeah. That's why, like, it's a medicine. They call it the medicine, the meditation.
So healing, I mean, we avoid the word therapy because therapy has its own respective field. You study therapy, you study, all that it takes. But it is therapeutic. It is a therapeutic practice.
It's a therapeutic practice, actually. It has so much into it, like to feel out those pain or
Yeah.
the emotions. It tackles so much emotions in us to bring it out, and so many people doesn't know how to deal with their emotions. And I'm wondering I'm still wondering of this question, how motion and movement bring that out.
Well, I mean, so like I told you, the level I do is called waves, which is the body stuff. The one that Sylvia just did, the international teacher I brought in, is the second level they're trained in, which is heartbeat, which I'll be trained in eventually soon. And that looks at the whole emotional map of the map itself, the whole heart space. And once you have the body articulation solidly in flowing staccato, chaos, lyrical, and stillness, each of the emotions correspond to each of these rhythms. And we practice through them to allow that specific emotion to find its expression, to find its release, find its power, to transform it into something powerful, so that it may serve us, so it doesn't live in a place where it gets us stuck, it's not breathed or gets us, repressed. It rather is released. So we trust that the map does all of that for us. It really does. That's why I said it was my fastest healer. Fastest healer.
It was honestly for me as well.
And you haven't even done the heartbeat, but because we're moving our bodies, تلقائيا, like it will go there eventually. And then the third level is the cycles. All our life cycles. We're healing everything from childhood, from birth, all the way until death, including ancestral. Including ancestors, including mother, father side. That's the third level. The fourth level of the work is the ego, mirrors, looking at all the different identities that shape us, because now we have the vocabulary to understand the story, to understand the emotions, to understand how the body can move us through all of that. Then there's a final level called Silver Desert. So it's quite a deep practice.
Silver Desert.
Yes, who Gabrielle Roth taught, and no one else after her taught, which is, again, it lives in stillness, the infinite.
All right.
So it's quite a deep practice. And you've done
really
only
deep.
waves.
Yes, I did only waves, and I'm looking forward to get into.
It's beautiful. I can't wait for you to explore more. I really can't.
How many hours do you need? Like, for example, because when I asked you, I want to get my sister into the heartbeat. She told me no. It has to have certain hours of practice.
Yes, and it's for her sake. So to do heartbeat, which is the second level, you need to have had at least between 16 to 20 hours of waves level, like 10 classes or a whole weekend workshop, 2.5 days plus, The reason for that is so that people have the vocabulary, the physical vocabulary to go through each rhythm.
All right.
So that when we're dealing with the emotion and the emotion is visiting us, we know what's
triggering it.
No, not what's triggering it, to know what to lean into, which is the physical. The body will release the emotion as energy, but we need the vocabulary of the rhythms to help each emotion be released. So fear would be released and flowing, or not released, transformed and flowing. Anger will be transformed in staccato, through the staccato physicality and shape, etc., etc. So that's why we say, get your vocabulary in place, because you want to be able, it's like you want to express your emotions, but you don't have the alphabets.
All right.
Right? You want to write about them, but you don't know how, because you don't have alphabets. So
that's really interesting. And it's of the way of putting it, like how to really understand it. It's
to have the tools to go forward with it. And the same with the cycles. You need to have had 2 weeks worth of heartbeat in order to do cycles, because that's deep work as well into the cycles of your life.
It's a deep work of like you need to remove the conditions, stories, and what happened to you when you kid. Oh wow, this is
really beautiful. I'm telling you.
It's a liberation as well.
It's liberating. It's a freedom dance. For me, the ultimate is to find our freedom.
And I saw something you wrote. Like there's a lot of people talking who came to your practice. They feel themselves free after that.
I'm finally free to
I'm
be
finally-
myself. And I always say, what self? There are several selves. And then you get free to explore so many of them, that I'm not only one, I can be many. And then we're all one. You know, so it's like we're even free from the definition of self.
Oh, wow, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're free. You're continuously unfolding, revealing yourself to become freer and freer and freer.
Yeah.
Always.
Always, constantly.
And then dissolving into nothing, into spirit.
And then dissolving into spirit. That's when you
Like
become...
the smoke that was
smoke.
making us so mysterious at some point.
Yeah, it's beautiful to dance it through, being it free, and then dissolve into the
But that's
spirit.
what you like the most. That's one of the quotes that stood out for you, which means to me that this is super important for you, that freedom.
Absolutely. Because we always cut ourselves most of the time. And most of the people I see, like where we are hanging out, and we cut with the phone. So much happening on the phone, so many things happening around us. And we cut ourselves into that trap. We're not in a cave or anywhere, but sometimes we are more in a prison from the inside.
That's right. Yeah.
And
wow. Yeah.
to free ourselves from that prison, it's an absolutely beautiful.
How
That's how
beautiful.
I freed myself from that because of this practice.
So you free yourself from yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Yay.
Yes, the freedom.
Beautiful. I love what you just said.
And
Yeah.
that's coming from literally from the practice, from your guidance, the way you do. And
I'm going to get you the books, Khalas.
please.
I'm going to get you the books. She
How-
wrote 3 books, and they're all
Ah, she
beautiful,
wrote them.
easy to read, beautiful, deep, gorgeous stuff. So
I'm looking forward to start one of them.
Yeah.
How can people get into to know more about Five Rhythm? When there's, because I talk about it with people around. Some know it from the communities you teach and the way you practice it, but from other side as well, there's so many people doesn't know about it.
Yeah, and so many people sadly, not sad, I mean, I don't mean it in a bad way, sadly in the sense that it's confusing, associated to ecstatic dance, and they think it's ecstatic dance. And ecstatic dance is beautiful, conscious dance, but it's just not a map. You just go and rock up and dance. You know, it's great. And you have a great DJ. I'm not a DJ, so as you well know, Sol was so upset that my mixing wasn't good. I'm like, I'm not a DJ, I'm a teacher. Some teachers go the extra mile and learn how to DJ properly. It's not about the music. But I mean, the way to get to know about it is, number one is to attend a class, obviously. But before attending a class, to know about how to get to a class, I have to say I suck. I suck big time because I haven't done my social media properly. I'm an older generation. When I started Five Rhythms in Dubai 12 years ago, now it's almost 13 years ago, I wasn't teaching then, I was organizing classes. Then I became a teacher. Facebook was the king of things, and I was on top of it. I was like the best. I had the biggest Facebook page, and now it's no longer Facebook. So I need to really shape up my social media so people have a landing page. But to know more about the practice itself, there is a global website, and it's a beautiful website full of information, and it gives you the scope of how big this is, because there are hundreds of teachers around the world with hundreds of classes, hundreds of workshops. But the best way to understand it or just have a glimpse of it is to show up to a class with no expectations. And like I said, let your body, let your dance reveal you to yourself.
Absolutely. I agree. Yes, show up to the class and just try it yourself.
And take a risk.
Exactly.
Just take a risk and know that whatever happens is exactly what happens in life, and it's all perfect. It's fine.
It's gonna be fine.
Whether you go in the corner and move a finger or more go to the... And what I always like to say, this is a movement practice, not a dance practice. Meaning, as Gabrielle Roth used to say, is that, dance is art form, movement is life form. And we're practicing life here.
All right.
So you don't need to make it pretty. It's not about that.
No. Yeah.
We're not professional dancers.
Absolutely.
We're life movers.
Oh, that's beautiful. Life movers. That's amazing. Yes. And anyone who wants to knows, I will put everything in
Thank you.
descriptions. You can find her. You can find everything about
I'll
the five
fix the
rhythms.
Instagram. I do have an Instagram page. It's finally being pushed to be used. I'm using it. Finally.
Fantastic. We'll get use of it for sure.
Thank you.
And for the practice, it gets you into the light side when you healed yourself from it with the practice. How long do you think your journey took, like, along the way?
I mean, you mean healing from my divorce? Or just
it's
in
like
general?
in
Because it's
general,
continuous. I mean, the more healing we do, the more the other stories surface and there's more healing to do. Like they say, it's an onion, but the only thing that changes is that it gets easier.
Okay.
The circumstance doesn't always change. You're like life will always throw things at you. But it's just
Absolutely.
a matter of how we're dealing with it. And the practice just helps me to be lighter about it. Meaning, like I said, it's energy in motion. So this too shall pass through me.
It shall pass,
And
yeah,
that's
for sure.
it. Really, it's not a magic formula. I will continue. I'm human. You're human.
Yes,
We'll
absolutely.
continue. Sometimes it'll be up, sometimes it'll be down. The point is that we know how to ride that wave more gracefully. Maybe not more gracefully, but more mindfully, enough to know where I'm at. Okay, I'm in a chaotic space. It needs a bit more breath and more surrender. Then I will break through to the other side. So my divorce, it was a whole combination of things, but this practice is what got me out of it. But then I was hit with other things.
So that
dealing
was
with
the
a
deepest.
child, dealing with,
Yeah.
a teenager, dealing
was-
with my business breaking down. There's so many things.
Along the way.
Yeah.
And was the start from the divorce? I was like,
The divorce,
That's-
you mean the start of suffering?
no, see that?
It
No, I
started
mean that.
way before the moment I came out of the womb.
Oh, wow.
What are you talking about?
No, I mean, because you said it was a depth of so much pain when you started.
Oh, yes. I
was-
mean, the five rhythms for me came at a time when I was seeking healing from my divorce. And I was in a lot of pain. Yes, I was. My heart was just everything in me was broken down, like completely. Yeah.
That's like the healing process to make it all.
Yeah, it was my
so-
tool. It was the tool that worked for me the most, the medicine that worked for me the most. My body gave me all the answers.
Everyone has their own medicines and everyone has their own tools. And
Yeah.
it's like, knowing when, for example, some other people have maybe yoga, meditations and stuff. And this is what's important of our existence, of knowing maybe what's the tools for us to dive deep into it. And I'm so happy to be like, five for them is one of the tools in my life. It's
I'm
made
glad
me
you
so,
found it and it found
yeah.
you. It really, like every person on that dance floor means a lot to me. And when people go missing, I notice.
You
like
do,
if they go for a few months, I notice they're missing.
Yeah.
And but that's the beauty of the community that Five Rhythms forms. We become brothers and sisters, even though sometimes we don't know each other's names. So it's connective. And I wanted to say about other modalities, we all complement each other. We all come with the same intention. And the best work I've done is when I've collaborated with a Kundalini yoga teacher, as well as a sound healer, as well as a, breath worker. We're all come with the same package, the same.
And you collaborate with others.
Yeah.
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 How is it being like how? Because collaboration then brings even more magic into it.
Yes, I think so.
I do think
Unless
so
we
as
don't
well.
get along with each other, we hate each other, then we don't bring magic. We
Yeah.
just bring real tension into the space.
True. And how is it to deal with to integrate with other practice? Like, because I think it's all at one. Yeah.
Like I said,
It's
I mean, Five Rhythms is a yogic practice in essence. It's a tantra practice, and from a yogic perspective, as a philosophy as well. I mean, like I said, it's shamanic, it's Jungian, it's Sufi. It holds all those elements in it, and so is the yoga. So is yoga. So is sound healing. It works on the frequencies and energetics of our bodies. So they all are connected. They're all connected, beautiful modalities, all aiming to heal and lighten us up and be more mindful about our humanity, our hearts, our souls. I mean, they all have the same.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's.
And how is it for you when you experience one or the other?
It's I love doing yoga constantly.
Which yoga do you do?
I just flow and I just flow in the morning, 30 minutes to an hour.
Really? You do it you do it every day? Not
Almost every day, up to 5 days a week.
Wow. It's impressive. And you do it on your own?
On my own, yeah.
Amazing.
And just flow with the movement. I don't have any strict.
Okay. Just different asanas.
Just different asanas. And yeah, wherever my body feels like now it needs to move, I let it be moving. And I take this with me to the practice when I come to the 5 rhythm.
That's incredible. I have no idea. You're so disciplined. For a lyrical, you're so disciplined. Wow.
Trying to, like, sometimes I lose it for a week or 10 days.
Right.
And then I come back.
To it.
Yeah, I come back. But I try to be disciplined into.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. But I found it beautiful to combine between yoga and 5 rhythm. It's both of them is movement, as I said, I flow. Love
and you have
flowing.
a lot of energy in you, right? So you kind of want an outlet to that.
Yeah.
At least that's what I notice.
It's there's a lot of happening inside. I need to outlet it and project it outside. So find those tools very useful, and especially in communicating people, I found it really beautiful the way you're connecting to others and you expressing and let them express. How do you read people to make them really expand on themselves with that? It's a natural skill.
How do I read people? I mean, first of all, it's presence, like everything else. When you're present, intuition comes through. We were born to be instinctive with each other. We were born to be intuitive with each other and we were born to be connected. So that's number one. Number two, I really, like I told you, I was a researcher before. My main bread and butter for over 20 years was market research and interviewing people like you're doing now. Awesome. So I read people, I'm intuitive and perceptive to that. I'm sensitive to that myself. So maybe some of that comes through as a skill set. Thirdly, more importantly, it's age and time. You know, it's like inevitable that you meet more people, you meet more circumstances.
You connect.
And then my biggest teacher is my daughter. Oh my God, like she's
that's a different story.
It's the biggest. She's my biggest teacher on how to be human myself and forgive myself, and be compassionate with myself, as well as my biggest teacher as a mirror with a big slap on the face. Really? You know, and it's great because it's the ultimate truth. So
ultimate truth and letting go of
the identity of who you think you are, you know. But yeah, that's it. It's love. It's love in action. I love everybody around me. I genuinely care about people in my class. I care for them. I love each one of them, even if I met them only once. Because I see what's moving in the space and I see how connected, how we're all human. We all have very similar stories. Despite our differences, we have the same pains, joys, dreams.
We do,
humaneness. And I see that in motion. It touches me so much. It really does. I love it. I love my job.
I really love what you're doing as well. Thank you for doing it. Thank you for bringing this energy, honestly putting it out, and just it's a serving purpose as well. Like it's a moving energy. When you put it out, it just makes so much into the people around, and I see it in people how it reflects on
their eyes are all glowing at the end. They're all in love with each other. It's like they're all in love with it. They don't want to leave the room.
Absolutely. This is honestly, guys who's listening or watching, go try it, because if you feel yourself, you want to flow.
You fall in love with the spirit of all things all the time.
Absolutely. Things get more even connected and just beautiful way. I cannot thank you enough for being here and sharing all this with us.
I'm the one who's grateful, truly.
And
I'm so happy to be part of your dream. I'm so honored to be taking part in that dream that you've that just created,
manifested. So now it feels like it came to the 3D reality.
Right.
When it was up there, now it's in 3D reality. It's like,
are you sure? Let me pinch you. Okay. Yep.
I like
Okay.
We could. Yeah, thank you for initiating it actually as well. That's a part of the initiation of the dream. Just like,
I
let's
had no
come here.
clue, but yeah, all right, I'll take the gratitude for something I had no idea I was doing. But yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
it's
why not?
happening. So take it.
I'll take it. Thank you. I'll receive.
Before last question, I will
Sure.
just before I didn't understand it. I started understanding it recently, which is in the practice. You say until you are arrived. What that does mean, being arrived.
Well, I always say at the beginning of class, drop the waiting, let go of the waiting, and welcome the arrival. And we're always in arrival mode. We're always arriving. We're always arriving to this moment. We're not always all the time fully in this moment. We're constantly arriving. With every breath, we're arriving. So it's like a mantra. For me, it's a mantra. It's like, let's keep arriving to this moment. Let's keep arriving to this body. Let's keep arriving, which you called it. You said it at the beginning, home.
Yeah.
Let's keep arriving home. Yeah. And then that becomes something bigger. Sometimes it's the body, sometimes it's spirit, sometimes it's this moment, which to me, they're all the same. They're all love.
Yeah.
Arriving to love.
Absolutely. That's just resonated when you say it, and it gets stuck to me every time we're doing a practice or doing something. It's like I need to arrive.
Just keep arriving, keep coming back, keep coming back. In case we sway, we're back. If we're off center, we arrive back. There's always a center.
It helps to be present, yeah. It does help to be present.
Or arrive to presence. Can't be hard on ourselves. We can't always be 100% present. No, that's God.
Yeah. Well, thank you for putting it out there.
Thank you so much.
And one final question before we wrap up our beautiful conversation. If you will, because I know you're putting music all the time for dance, and if you will put your life in a song, what would it be?
A song? Can it be like a soundtrack?
It can be a soundtrack, can be
well, there's two. Well, one song would be Leonard Cohen's "Dance Me to the End of Time."
Oh, nice.
Although that was a dark one because he wrote it about the Holocaust.
Yeah.
But and actually going to death. That's the dark side of me. Yeah. But anyway, meeting death. But as a soundtrack, which I love, I can play it all the time, it would be Cinema Paradiso. Because I love that movie and I love that soundtrack, and I feel life is a movie. It's a cinema. It's this intimate movie that we keep rolling and witnessing.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And you are the director of your own movie.
Yes, I'm a director and the actor and everything in between. And the script.
Fantastic.
How about you?
Well, honestly, when this question came to my head yesterday, and the whole podcast and what's happening, I told you before we start even, it's reflection. This podcast is a reflection of my life. Mm-hmm. And last night, when it came to me, this question, I was like, I wanted to ask her which song would be presenting her life. And I was like, what is my song?
Yeah, what is your song?
I did not know what song it is.
Of course you do.
I know I need to dig down into it. I was so...
No, I'm going to count till 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hallelujah.
Woo! At first I heard a sea. Is that one?
At first,
there you go.
Yeah.
There's sea.
That's like...
Great.
Yeah, come straight. Thank you.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
That's a good ending, actually.
Thank you for everything, for wherever you're putting the energy. Anyone watching or listening, please check her out on Instagram or on social media. I will list everything down in the description. Just any class, get yourself ready, put on comfy pants, and get your bowl of water.
Yes.
And just go dance.
Come sweat your prayers.
Sweat your prayers, exactly.
Thank you so much, truly, Zahir. I really appreciate our time. It was beautiful. And a beautiful surrounding.
And still stay tuned with us to wrap up our conversation about dance and connection with the self. We have a section with the music gonna play
can't
now.
wait.
And Ivana and Jay and Dalia, they just gonna do some magic. Stay tuned for the next section with the music.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It was lovely. Thank you.